Let's talk the cup. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk the cup. Woo!
Hey, everybody. Good evening. It's Cutler here, the Let's Talk to Cutler virtual book club, the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the Let's Talk to Cutler get together for 1800 seconds every Tuesday and Thursday. It is the 19th of September, and I'm so grateful to see everybody. I'm grateful for another day, and I'm grateful for you all. How about that? I'm grateful to spend this time with people who offer me some encouragement, who offer me some motivation, who offer me some inspiration, who offer me some guidance. So thank you all. Yes, you do all of that. Cutler, we do that. Yeah. You all do that, even on that end. Although I'm the one talking and you all can hear me, I can't necessarily hear you all, but I can see your comments and see your interactions. So I'm thankful for that. I see your comments and messages when people catch the replay. So thank you all so much for that. I'm here because I like to inspire. I'm here because I like to motivate, but I also like to challenge us. Challenge us for what, Cutler? Challenge us to be our best selves, even in the worst of situations. Challenge us to make sure that we've shown up better today than we did yesterday. Challenge us to make sure that we are deliberate, intentional about trying to show up better tomorrow than we did today. It doesn't mean that today or any day has been a failure or a flop. It just means we are intentional about trying to be our best selves at all costs, at all times. And that really is a challenge for us, because sometimes there are things that would challenge our very character. There are things that would challenge the integrity of who we are. But it is my hope that after we spend these times together, these conversations together, we can emerge saying, yep, I'm a little bit better. Because how about this, you all? Better doesn't necessarily have to happen 5 years from now, 5 weeks from now, 5 days from now. Better happens as soon as you believe that it's possible. I hold true to that. Better happens as soon as you believe that it is possible. So listen, if this is your first time, that's what this platform is about. That's what this channel is about. There's no negativity. There's nothing pessimistic about it, but it is about encouraging each other. It's about inspiring each other. It's about uplifting. It's about motivating. And because there's enough negativity in the world as it is, people are sick, people are dying, people are divorcing, people are having troubles, people are having problems, people are having all sorts of things are happening. So that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about real issues affecting people. But at the end of the conversation, it is about empowering ourselves so that we can emerge and we can evolve, and we really can come out better with a better mindset, with a better perspective on life. I don't always want to see the glass half empty. Yes, I'm thankful for the glass, but there are times I just want to see the glass half full. I want whatever amount of water is in the glass, I want to see that as a positive. So thank you all. Thank you, those of you who have been with me for the long haul. I'm going to jump over and call out the LTTC VIPs in just a moment. Those are the Let's Talk to Cutler VIPs. But everybody really is important, and I'll shout you all out in a minute. But so thank you all. This evening, I want us to talk about, we're going to talk about, what do you do when you feel out of control? Wow. What do you do when you feel out of control? Because as the seasons are changing, one of the things I realized that when the seasons change, they bring about sometimes some physiological reaction in us, and we're tired and we're listless and we're restless and we're lethargic and we're all of those things. And sometimes we just feel like we've spun out of control. We face crisis situations. We have to deal with illnesses. We have to deal with the death of loved ones. We have to deal with all kinds of situations and separations and just all sorts of things. And we sometimes feel out of control. So tell people that, if they're facing those situations, what I call crisis situations. A crisis is something that causes you not to behave like you normally do. Something that will cause you to behave like you don't normally behave, like you don't typically behave, something that's out of character for you. That thing is a crisis. And sometimes we undergo, or we are going through a crisis, and we don't even take the time to stop and realize it. And we then ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? You might be in a crisis. And you have to ask yourself, what is going on? Do I normally behave like this? Do I normally think like this? If the answer is no, you all, it could be that you're in a crisis situation. You're in crisis mode. And so you're doing the best you can to survive. You're doing the best you can to stay above water. You're doing the best you can to keep afloat. You're doing the best you can to stay on 2 feet. You're doing the best you can to be the best that you can. So I commend you. I applaud you. So keep doing that, but recognize that sometimes we are in crisis mode and we don't even stop to realize it. So as the seasons are changing, I'm just suggesting that sometimes as the seasons are changing, we are not, thank you, McDonald. I can't believe somebody has flown by, not ready for fall yet. So sometimes as reality is taking place, we're not necessarily mentally ready. We're not emotionally ready. We're just not ready for some of those things. So let me shout out the LTCs, the VIPs for just a moment. And if you're logged in, and I see some of you logged in, but come on over into the chat so I can see my friends. I want to see my friends. All right. So a good evening to these are the people I see on my end. Hattie Boone, Sonia Bailey, Annie Cutler. Those are the first three that I see in the chats. But I also see the rest of you. So let's chat it out this evening. And let's talk about what do you do when you feel out of control. How many of you, let's start there. We only have 1,800 seconds. So if you all know somebody who seems to be abnormal in their behavior, don't shun them. Don't cast dispersions. Don't sow seeds of discord. But let's think about it. Let's talk about it, because even if it's not you, you may know somebody in your life who seems to be out of control. And so then the question becomes, Cutler, do you have any tidbits? Do you have any helpful hints, things that I can take away from this conversation and possibly offer somebody else? I certainly hope I do. That is my goal. That is the aim this evening, to offer us some helpful hints and some tidbits to help ourselves and to help others who may feel out of control. And you just notice people as the days are changing, as the temperatures changing, as the seasons are changing, because sometimes people don't necessarily act their normal selves. And I want us to talk about that this evening. Have you ever felt like you were just out of control? Or am I, as we sometimes say, am I the only one? Sometimes we find ourselves snapping at people. Sometimes we find ourselves not being able to get our minds out of these dark places and these dark holes. Sometimes we find ourselves engaged in behavior and routine behavior or habitual behavior that's not normally, or repeated behavior. That's the word, repeated behavior that is not normally us. I'm not necessarily, for an example, I'm not knocking alcohol or wine or drinking. Do what you want to do. But what I'm saying is sometimes you might find yourself, you can't stop drinking. You can't stop like I said, thinking about negative situations and going into dark places. You're always on edge. You're fussing and you're snapping at people. And that's what feeling out of control is like a lot of times. It can be very frustrating. Sometimes it gives people a high because they like the energy. They like the height of it all. But it can give you that high. But what happens when you wake up the next day and you realize what you've done? See, sometimes it is the adrenaline. People just out of control and they're cussing people out, they're fussing people out, they're snapping at people, and they like that feeling. But when they wake up the next day and they realize what they've done, it's not such a good feeling. Now, yeah, is it normal to feel out of control every now and then? Absolutely. It's normal to feel or to be out of control every now and then, because the truth of the matter is we all make mistakes and we all do things that we regret. But here is the thing. If you find yourself losing control all the time, there's probably more going on than meets the eye. That's what I'm talking about. So when you're talking about feeling out of control, if you're doing that all of the time, there may be something that's going on, you all. So then when you start trying to figure out, why am I doing what I'm doing? And sometimes we have a lot of motivations for the things that we do. Sometimes it's intellectual, sometimes or logical, and sometimes it's just purely emotional. And how many of us know that logic and emotion contradict each other? They don't always walk hand in hand. Sometimes you're thinking with your mind. Sometimes you're behaving out of your mind. Sometimes you're behaving from your heart. And so you have to ask yourself, is this a heart response or is this a mind response? That's food for thought. Sometimes the motives or the motivation to do things, whether it's with your heart or with your mind, they contrast, they contradict, they're ironic, they're oxymoronic, they're antithetical. All of those things, they just don't walk hand in hand. They just don't agree. That's what I'm saying. Because maybe your emotional brain wants to punch somebody in the face, but your logical brain says, okay, for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. If I punch somebody in the face, I might get arrested, or they may punch me back, or they might not punch me back. I might punch them in the face and I might get shot. So you see what I'm saying? Logic and emotions don't always go hand in hand. Logical decisions take a little more brain power than emotional ones. But as you're thinking about the times that you have been out of control, think about what you did. Think about what you said. Think about how you felt. I don't know anybody that enjoys being out of control all the time. I do know people who like the feeling of getting the high and the adrenaline rush, but my goodness, when you think about what you've done after that adrenaline rush, you have to say, now, was that good for me to have been out of control? Was there something I could have done to just reel myself back in? Because the more distracted we sometimes become, the more tired, the more stressed we become, the harder it is to think logically. Let me say that again. It's not always easy to think logically when you are distracted, when you are tired, when you are stressed. And there are some things that can make it harder for you to control your behavior than others. What might cause me, Cutler, to become out of control? What might push me out of character? What might push me in a direction of a place where I don't normally go, where I don't normally respond, where I don't normally react, where I don't normally behave? Intense emotions. They would do it all the time. Some of the biggest culprits that will cause you, or culprits that will cause you to find it difficult to control your behavior out of control, sounding and looking like a fool. And looking like a fool. I just looked at my bookshelf. I may pull this one poem that I wrote that says, "Put some clothes on and stop running around naked and looking like a fool." I might end the broadcast on that. But I'm telling y'all, a lot of times when we're out of control, we do. Thank you, Jay Song, for you. We look foolish. And people are laughing. People will let you look like a clown and then laugh at you. They won't say anything to you. And I'm talking about people who know us. They will let you look like a clown and invite everybody else to the circus where you're performing and won't say anything to you. And even when it's all said and done, when it's all over, you found yourself, you were acting out of anger and fear and stress. I'm telling you, these intense emotions can make it harder for you to control your behavior. We have to be aware of them because sometimes we're not even aware of these emotions, but they still affect how we behave. They affect how we be. They affect how we show up. So what am I suggesting? What do I suggest? As I always do, talk to somebody about your feelings. Write down your emotions. Take out a journal, take out a piece of paper, take out a Post-it, and just write down your feelings. Because intense emotions will make it difficult for you to behave like you normally do. What else will cause it? When you're restless, when you're not satisfied with life and you feel like life is beating you up and you just can't get ahead. You feel like you take one step forward and you're not 2 or 3 steps backwards, and you just feel restless, and you start making rash decisions. I'm not happy with life. Nothing makes me happy. Nothing makes me content. Nothing makes me satisfied. When you are restless, I'm telling you, it causes you not to behave like you normally do. Tina, it's so good to see you. Marissa, it's good to see you. Maybe there's something in your life, something that you want out of your life, or you want from life that you're just not getting, and you feel like I don't know what it is, but I can't put my fingers on it, but I'm not getting what I need. I'm not getting what I want, and instead, what will happen? You will start just randomly acting out of character, trying to identify what you're missing, trying to identify what you're looking for, trying to think, how can I change it? And you don't even know what needs to be changed. Now that was a mouthful for somebody. Sometimes we're trying to figure out how can I change it, and we don't even know what the it is that needs to be changed. You're just restless, and when you're restless, it causes you to behave out of control. Sometimes it's your energy level. I hope I'm helping somebody else tonight. Oh my goodness, I'm really just trying to help save somebody's life. What do you mean trying to help save somebody's life? Because when you're out of control, you can do things that are self-sabotaging. You can really do things that are deadly. So let's not take this conversation lightly. Sometimes it's just your energy level that will cause you to behave acting out of control. If you are physically drained, mentally drained, you don't have a lot of energy left to make decisions. You don't have a lot of energy left to think to think rashly. You don't have a lot of energy left to think on an intellectual plateau like you always do. You just don't. So sometimes it's good to just take a nap, to go and get a snack, to go and walk, or to do something until you can get in a better headspace. You're right. They say this is just who I am. But that's not who I want to be, and I can be more. And one of the things that we're talking about this evening, one of the things that we talk about during these conversations is that I am greater than my circumstances. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but one of the things that I do know, one of the things that I've discovered in life is I'm greater than a whole lot of my circumstances. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else, but what I do know is I'm better than a lot of the circumstances that confront me, a lot of the circumstances that come in my life, a lot of the circumstances that I come face to face with. I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. I'm trying to be better than a lot of the things. And I don't always have to respond. I've said it time and time again on this platform. How I respond is what matters. And I don't want to respond like a fool that's out of control. I'm not calling any of us a fool. So think about it. Think about when you are intense with your emotions. Think about when you're feeling restless. Think about when your energy level is down. Sometimes, and I'll tell you something else that might cause you that might make it harder for you to control your behavior. Sometimes it's the people around you. Well, McDiner, what works for you? Sometimes eating a snack can calm people down. I didn't say it had to be, a sugary snack. It could be a salty snack. Your snack might be a grape. Your snack might be some hummus. Your snack might be tofu, whatever it is. But thank you for that. I chuckle a lot of times, and I appreciate your comments. I really, really do. But think about this, you all. Think things that make it difficult for you to control your behavior. Sometimes it's the people around you. Peer pressure. It sounds like a cliche. It sounds like something that we shouldn't have heard after we were 13, 16, 18, and 21. But I'm telling you, it is a real thing. And if you're hanging out with people who do things that you don't necessarily do, it may be harder for you to resist that behavior. You might be tempted to engage in that behavior. So try to surround yourself with people who respect you, with people who look up to you, people who don't mind modeling themselves and serving as a model for a good thing to do, a good way to be, a good way to respond, a noble way to respond. Just ways to help you control your behavior. Comfort food, yeah, I like that. So think about it. When you're engaged in intense emotions, when you're restless, when your energy level is all the way down or all the way up, sometimes it's the people around you. And sometimes, listen, I'm gonna tell you what else can make it harder for you to control your behavior. Y'all don't get upset with me for saying this. Please don't get upset. Some of the habits that we engage in, some of the things that we do habitually, because it's hard to break habits. Now, it gets easier with practice, and eventually you can replace bad habits with good ones. And better decision, you can start making better decisions so that they can come naturally and flow naturally. But sometimes it is the habits that we have routinely engaged in that make it difficult for you to control your behavior. Because your initial response, your visceral reaction you're just programmed to respond certain ways. Second nature. But we can unlearn, we've talked about this before. We can unlearn some of the things that we have learned. Remember, we talked one time, we said maybe life is not about learning some things, but maybe some seasons in our lives are about unlearning. Unlearning some of the practices in which we engage. Unlearning some of the habits that we perform. So let's think about that. These are just a few things that can make it harder for us to control our behaviors. And you know, and the elephant in the room could be, you know, engaging in drugs and alcohol. Not that we do it, but maybe we know people in our lives who do that to an unhealthy extent. And maybe, just maybe, not to disregard or discard this. Maybe one of the things that's causing people to behave in a way that makes them out of control is mental health. This is a time when we just need to stop and think about certain mental health conditions will have an especially strong effect on behavior. How do we recognize our bad habits, behavior? Because most of the time we don't really see ourselves. We are right most of the time in our own eyes. Get somebody that you trust. Get someone whose opinion you trust. And give them the license to be honest with you. And you're right, Jay Song, for you. A lot of times what I do, I'm right in my own eyes. My way of being, my way of showing up, my way of responding, my way of walking, my way of talking, my way of doing this, I show up right in my own eyes all the time. But give someone else the leeway into your life. Give them the authority, give them the permission to tell you the truth. And give them the promise that you will respect their response, that you will respect their opinions, that you will respect what they have to say. So give them the leeway, give them the leeway, give them the authority, but also give them the promise. I'm helping myself when I say that. How do we recognize our bad behavior? Give somebody else the license, the leeway, the authority, and then give them the promise that you will respect what they have to say. I like that. I like your response, McDonough. Also, reflections in a journal may help. Absolutely. Because a lot of times, if you write down, this is what I did, and you go back and you say, oh my God, is that what I did? And not only write down what you did, but write down how you did it. Write down how you felt, how it made you felt when you cussed that person out. Not you, Jay Song, for you, not it, but I'm saying. I was trying. This is an example. This is an example. This is just an example. So say, for instance, I was driving in traffic today. Somebody cut me off. And I just drove up beside the person who cut me off and I flipped them the bird. And I just kept right on going. And when I got to my destination, that same car pulled in to the place where I was going. And out of that car, there was an old lady walking with a cane. And I felt like crap. Think about it. Write that down in your journal. I cut her off and she cut me off. I pulled up aside and flipped her the bird. And when I got where I was going, this old lady got out of my car. And then I saw that she was elderly and she was crippled and she was walking with a cane. How did that make you feel? We need to write down these things. We need to write down these things. Because I tell you this, how you treat people, it'll come back to you. It'll come back to you. Cuss them out from A to Z and then see how you feel. I gotta keep going because I only have 1,800 seconds. Don't take that advice. Don't do that. Don't cuss people out from A to Z and see how you feel. But I'm telling you, we McDonough, thank you for that. Sometimes we need to write down. We need to write down our reflections, what we did and how we felt, and then go back and see, was that really me or was I acting out of character? So then, now that we know the things that can cause us to act out of character, how do I cope with things when I just feel out of control? When I feel out of control, when life feels chaotic, when it feels overwhelming. One of the things you can do when you feel overwhelmed, hold on, let me do this. One of the things you can do when you feel overwhelmed is get my book, get my book and read the book. Get my book and read the book. That's one thing. Yeah, you can do that when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling chaotic, out of control. You can do that. But it can be easy to get stuck in a cycle of stress and worry whenever life feels overwhelming, when life feels chaotic. But some of the things that you can do to cope and to find calm and to find contentment and to find peace, some of the things that you can do really is to become aware of your feelings. And you can become aware of your feelings by writing down how you felt when you did something, writing down at the end of the day, ooh, this day is over. How did I feel during the course of the day? And it doesn't have to be a long entry, but this is how I felt today. Thank you, McDonald. I have the book, but I haven't read it yet. Thank you for getting it. I appreciate that. But one of the things that we need to do, y'all, is to become aware of our feelings. Because I think if we become aware of our feelings, then we will, if we become more in touch with our feelings, we will be careful how we respond. It's good to have and to show a range of emotions, but it might help to write them down, write what's going on, write how you're feeling. I like that, Marissa. Listen to music. I like all of that. Think about when you when you're becoming aware of your feelings. Think about where your body is and how you feel. Think where in your body you sense your emotions. For example, I'm telling you this, become aware of your feelings and ask yourself, where did I really feel that? You all listen. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I'm not a therapist, but what I am is a person who has experienced life. And a lot of times when it comes to being aware of your feelings, you have to ask yourself, where do I feel that in my body? Where am I feeling that emotion? Am I feeling that emotion in my head? Am I feeling that emotion in my stomach? Am I feeling that emotion in my back? Am I feeling that emotion in my hands? Am I feeling that emotion in the tingling of my thing? Where am I feeling that emotion? Become aware of your senses of become aware of how you feel. Become aware of how you feel. And not only become aware of how you feel, I only have 1,800 seconds, but I mean this from the bottom of my heart, you all. Notice your mindset. It is important. The way you think about things really does affect the way you feel. The way you think about things really does affect the way you feel. If you tell yourself something is too hard or it's too stressful or it's too this or it's too that, you're going to feel that way. You're going to feel burdened. You're going to feel drained. You're going to feel like you're about to succumb. You're going to feel the weight of life because it is too hard, it's too stressful, it's too this, it's too that. But if you tell yourself you can handle something, you're more likely to be able to handle it. And you will not feel like you're out of control. I know I got a lot on my plate, but I can handle it. Rome wasn't built in the day. I know I have a lot on my plate, but one of the things that I can do is tackle it little by little. I know I have a lot on my plate, but guess what? I'm not the only one with a whole lot on my plate, and there's some things that would just cause me to prioritize. Maybe I could get this done today and I can get that done tomorrow. And whatever I don't get done, maybe it's not a high priority. Maybe it's not one of the low-hanging fruits on the tree. Maybe I could put it on the back burner. You have to tell yourself, you've got to notice your mindset and tell yourself, listen, I can handle it. I'm talking about how to cope when you're feeling out of control. So become aware of your feelings. The next time you feel something, ask yourself, where am I experiencing this in my body? The next time you think about something, notice your mindset. Are you positive about it? Are you negative about it? Are you optimistic about it? Are you pessimistic about it? Are you hopeful about it? Are you hopeless about it? Do you believe you can do it? Or are you doubtful? You have to ask yourself, what is my mindset? I don't have long, but I hope I'm helping somebody. And then what you can do, I just said it a few moments ago, what you can do is focus on what you can control. Try not to focus on what you can't control. Make a list of the things that cause you stress. There are some things I can't do anything about it. Decide. Once you make a list of the things that cause you stress, then you decide which things on the list you can take action on and the things that you can't. God grant me the serenity. It is a serenity prayer. I pray it so often. Give me courage to change the things I can, strength, and the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity to accept the things that I can't change. The courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This can remind you to accept what's in your control and what isn't. I hope I'm helping us. I really do hope I'm helping us, because life can become overwhelming. And there are times when we feel like we're out of control. And sometimes we end up doing things and we run around looking crazy. And we're performing and we're giving people a hope. We're inviting people to come to the circus because we're running around looking crazy. I'm going to end by reading this poem. It's a very short poem, but it's in my book, Who We Once Were. And so let me just say thank you all. Thank you for spending this time. I may pick this up and talk about this again. And so thank you for this. And let's keep doing what we do, you all. But listen to this. So that when you're feeling out of control, listen. Stop running around naked. Put on some clothes. Put a hat on your heart because it has grown too old or too cold. Put a belt around your tongue, for it's revealing your shame. Put a scarf around your attitude, it's scarring your name. Put some shoes on your disposition, will do you some good. A glove on your conceit, really, yes, you should. Put a bib around your desires to help catch all the drool. Put some clothes over your nakedness and stop looking like a fool. I'm telling you all, I'm telling you, stop displaying behavior that says you are out of control, naked and out of control. Thank you all for allowing me to spend this time wherever you've allowed me to come into your hearts and your home and wherever you are. Thank you so much. Let's keep doing what we do, you all. Let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's stay safe. Let's stay sane. I encourage us all to keep your heads up, keep your hopes up, and make sure you focus on yourself and make sure you do what you need to do so you can feel in control and be in control. Until the next time, tell somebody else, come on and let's talk to Cutler, because the man is really just trying to help save our lives. Thank you all. I'll see you the next time I see you all. Good night.